This just in, Shad Khan meeting the media as they get set to introduce Liam Coen as the new head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Khan, of course, team owner.
Body of work speaks for itself. Quarterback development is the bedrock of modern NFL, and Liam has delivered that wherever he's coached. His outstanding reputation preceded our first interview on video, and everything we heard about him from top people throughout football, solicited and otherwise, was confirmed when we met Liam here last week. Liam was bright, prepared, ambitious, and he inspired us. I knew then that Liam was our man, and we got our man. So with that, it's my privilege to introduce to you the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Liam Coen.
Thank you, Shad. As I said last week, this is a moment of a lifetime. I'm grateful for your confidence in me. I also appreciate that you saying that I inspire you, because you do the same to me. It's amazing to hear. I want to thank people along this way in terms of the process to get here. Tony Khan, Tony Baselli, Mark Lamping, and Ethan Waugh. I genuinely thank you for your honesty and trust throughout this process. I owe a great debt of thanks to a lot of the coaches that I've gone through the process with and given me opportunities to coach, because that's what I love to do. Todd Bowles in the Tampa organization, Sean McVay in the Rams, Mark Stoops at Kentucky, Mark Whipple at UMass, my alma mater, Phil Estes at Brown, and Don Brown, who was my coach as a player and a mentor to me in this profession. They were all great football minds, but one thing they had in common was leadership. And that's what this is all about. It takes complementary football at all three phases to be great. Offense, defense, and special teams. How do we want to play the game? And that's fast. Fundamentally sound, attacking, situational masters, and tough, both mentally and physically. You see players in the room right here, guys that I've had conversations with already. It will always be about you. Always. It is players over plays. How do we make this as much about the players and making this about bringing out the best in you? That's what this is about. Jacksonville, the community, Duval. How do we do this together? This has to be collaborative. I want it to be as collaborative as possible for us to go to the next level, take the next step, and for us to have found a home for the first time in a long time that we can maybe plant some roots and truly be in a community and a family that we love and trust. On to the theme of family. You're told at a young age when you meet the one and what that does for your life. And I met my one 5 years ago. Ashley, you have made me a better person every single day. And I would not be here without you. You make me better. You make us better. You will make Jacksonville better. I love you. My sons, Jackson and Callahan, wild. Jackson, Jacksonville, Callahan town. I mean, here we go. What an opportunity for them to see these guys. That's who I want them to see. That's who I want them to be around. That's where I was, in locker rooms, on the field, with those guys from all different walks of life, all different backgrounds, all with the same goal. I want my kids to be them. Edna, Kevin, my wife's family, truly thank you for the support. Jock, my agent, but a friend. First guy to pick me up on the plane, off the plane in LA. We'll never forget it, man. And to my dad, my best friend, I was lucky enough as a kid to grow up and have my hero, the dream, and my best friend in the house. That's something, guys, we all know that's special. And I've learned so many things from you, Pops, going through this process of life. And I cannot thank you enough for your support and love. And finally, to my angel up in heaven, my mom, Elizabeth, I wish you could see it. I wish you could see it, because this is pretty cool. This is pretty cool. I cannot thank you guys for this moment. Shad, you just made a dream absolutely come true. And we're going to work our tails off to bring championships to Jacksonville. Thank you so much, and we're ready to get to work. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Now we're going to open up the floor to questions from the media. We have microphones flanking both sides of the room, and we just ask that you identify yourselves and your media outlet before asking the question. And if you could be direct, clear who you're directing the question to, that would be helpful too. So why don't we begin? Who's got the first question today? Gene?
This is for Liam. Congratulations, welcome to Jacksonville. Before I get to forward thinking about your opportunity here, could you just briefly go over last week, a lot of reports that you were going to stay in Tampa for a substantial pay raise. Then you changed your mind, decided to interview here. Could you talk a little bit about what made you change your mind? And was there any, in any way, any misgivings in your mind about changing your mind, not about pursuing a head coaching opportunity?
Thank you, Gene. Look, the opportunity to coach in Tampa was a phenomenal one, to get my feet wet in the NFL as the offensive coordinator, and I thank them so much for that opportunity. As you continue to do more research and gaining more information as you go, it started to become, more clear with every hour that this was an opportunity that you just can't pass up for so many different reasons. And you ultimately want to do truly what's best for you and your family. And that's what this came down to. I will always love and remember those guys in Tampa. My players, those guys, love them to death. But this is an opportunity to also go and do it with some new guys, right? And to go reach and touch people, because that's what coaching and teaching is. And that's what this opportunity is all about. And extremely thankful for that. But head forward, head and eyes up, and we're moving forward.
Just to be clear, did this have anything to do with the change in the front office structure?
This was completely about an opportunity to work for an owner and a group of people with a group of players that needed some help. And that's what coaching is, right? That's what coaching is all about, is trying to go help people and be around people. So no, that was not the factor.
Okay.
One more.
Beyond the opportunity to develop a quarterback like Trevor,
yeah.
What is it most that excites you about this opportunity?
Right. You see this place. Look at this right now, right? Look at this. The community, what we're doing in the future, the opportunity to be a part of something different, right? Let's be honest, this is different. That's awesome. That's exciting for me and for my family, to truly be a part of something different, to go impact and influence football players and people and staff. That's what this is all about. It's about trying to be a part of change and improvement, and try to go do something different and win. right? Winning cures a lot. Winning cures a lot, and that's the goal.
Okay, we're going to go over here on the right. Rick Ballou, please.
Liam, welcome to Duval. Rick Ballou with 92.5 FM and 1010 XL. Been a lot of speculation, but we haven't heard it from you. You will be calling offensive plays.
Yes, Rick, absolutely. We'll be calling football plays.
How important is it for stability now with Trevor? This will be the fourth different play caller as he gets ready for his fifth year. With just a perfect scenario for you as far as, what you've seen so far in his 4 years and where you believe you can take him.
I was telling Trevor this the other day that I've watched him play, live as a freshman in high school. It was Buford High School against Carrollwood? Cartersville? Excuse me. Sorry, I was in the South Georgia. I was in Georgia, man. That's all I knew. And I was seeing this freshman in high school play the position at a high level. Standing tall, making throws, delivering. And I walked out of there like, man, this is different. I had no idea who he was. And then you fast forward to now, right? How do we make Trevor Lawrence in this offense as dynamic and explosive as we can be, right? We've got to build it around him as well, right? We've got to make every part of this about improvement, and he will be a part of that process. He's earned that right. I cannot respect his toughness and mentality and work ethic more than I do already from afar, and this will all be about Trevor right now.
Jamal St. Cyr.
All right, Liam Coen being introduced as the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars today. He's tried to show a little personality there.
Yeah.
Duval? Pete, that doesn't seem like something that you would like out of an NFL head coach, a leader of men. What did you think of what you saw from him at this presser today?
Well, look, I've been around this league a long time, and we hear every year, oh, this guy won the press conference, this guy didn't win the press conference, and the guy who usually wins the press conference isn't a good coach, and the guy who doesn't win the press conference usually is a good coach. So I don't believe any of this stuff as we judge them and rate them on how they handle themselves. I've talked to a lot of people inside that building, people close to this whole process, and Liam Coen won them over because they felt he was a good football guy who could stand up and actually lead the team. And I think that's the most important thing. We always hear about X's and O's, and he's good at it. Don't get me wrong. He's been very good at it. Every stop he's been. He was fantastic last year in Tampa. But this is about more than that. This is about you allowing your coaches to coach. It's allowing yourself to get respect from the players, and it's also to give the players the respect back. And I think this is something that Jacksonville's lacked. I think they need a guy who can stand up there and relate to the players. Look, Doug Peterson, he could relate to the players, but I don't think he was tough enough at times on them. And I think this is one of those coaches, those young coaches that will step in here, and I think he's going to be really good for that organization. But, again, we can't judge him based on an introductory press conference.
I knew Pete didn't like it. I knew it.
Liam Coen, just 39 years old. So, Pete, here's the thing. You have the head coach in place. There's still a lot to figure out with this team. They're still looking for a GM. You've put together a 3-step plan for fixing the Jacksonville Jaguars. Give us step one.
Jaguars.
Okay, step one is to find a general manager that doesn't have an ego. And that's hard to do. But that's somebody that needs to come in there and work closely with Liam Coen. And everybody I've talked to, Liam Coen has the juice in the building, by the way. Shad Khan has given that juice to the coach. That doesn't necessarily mean he's going to make the decision on who the GM is. In fact, he's not going to make the decision. He will have input into it. But they need to find a guy you can work with, and a guy that when you do have success, the egos don't get in the way. When you do have failures, they don't start blaming each other. I think that's #1 priority for them as an organization. That wasn't Trent Baalke. And by the way, why isn't Trent Baalke there? Trent Baalke is actually the guy who identified Liam Coen in the process. He was a big guy pushing him for that job. Well, what happened? From what I heard, he wanted to help him, guide him through his process of choosing his staff. And Liam Coen said, look, I'm not going to take a job with that as a caveat. And I think that ended up ending the relationship, and that's why they came back to him after Trent Baalke was gone. So #1, find the right general manager. #2, get big people. All you got to do is look at the Philadelphia Eagles. Look at how that team is constructed. They're nasty on the offensive line. They're violent. They're big. They run the football. There are only so many big people on the planet who can play the game of football. Find as many of them as you can. 2 on the offensive line, 2 on the defensive line. Build that thing up in the middle and be one of those physical teams that you really haven't been in a long, long time. That's number 2. And then number 3, let Trevor Lawrence be Trevor Lawrence. And by that, big, physical, strong-arm quarterback who can drive the ball down the field. You have a star receiver in Brian Thomas, and I'm talking about Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson type receiver. Let him free. Let Trevor Lawrence throw the ball down the field. No more horizontal passing game. You got to get the ball down the field. Build it around Thomas and build it around Trevor Lawrence's arm. Yeah, he can bootleg, and that'll be good because he's athletic. You can use his legs, and quarterbacks need to use their legs now. But let him stand in there and drive the ball down the field.
How many games do they win next year, Pete?
I'll tell you when they hire a general manager and what they do to the roster in the offseason. But right now, there's still talent on that team. As long as the quarterback stays healthy, look, that's a winnable division. Look at it. I mean, look, the Texans won it. They weren't great this year. So I definitely think they have a chance to turn it around. Again, though, got to get bigger, got to get nasty, got to get tough.
You would be a horrible GM. You have the biggest ego I know.
Who?
This is why Chris.
Me?
Pete, you'd be a great GM. Chris has the biggest ego of all. Yeah. He'd be terrible.
Really big ego, right?
You know what Chris would do? He would, like when you're a GM, you're supposed to take input from your scouts. I've heard many GMs who have fired scouts because they didn't agree with their decision or didn't like their evaluation. Chris wouldn't be a good GM because everybody tell him what to do or give him suggestions, and he would just turn his back to it and say,
you know what, I'm going to do it right now. Pete, goodbye. Get out of here. You're done. I don't like what you have to say. So you're out of here. The Jags hiring Liam Coen, introducing him as head coach today. They've got Trevor Lawrence locked up through the 2030 season, but trying to get the most out of him and what a lot of people expected.
Pete still very much believes in Trevor Lawrence.
He does. Pete's one of the few that's sticking with him, still thinks he can be an elite quarterback in the NFL.